This year marks the 50th anniversary of Toho's Zone Fighter, and since I never actually got around to watching it fully, I figured what better time than now to check out the series. This is part 5 of my series review. Episode 17, Go! Fighter Emergency Takeoff. First off, not sure if I mentioned the intro song before, not sure if I've grown to dig it or if I always have, but it's a tune. The Garoga steal Smokey, the Zone ship that hangs out in space and occasionally helps out on Earth. Zone's sister and child try to jump up to it and end up here instead of in ship. It's kind of funny. Zone's sister and kid are looking for Smokey, but find a lady that turns out to be a Garoga. Instead of just showing the webbed hand as they normally do, this time there is a skin ripping leading up to it. Great. And this leads into our zones getting captured, but this time it's cool. They are thrown into a negative 4-dimensional space, which doesn't mean anything to me, but it's a void with smoke machines, two things I like, and together is good. The bad guys are talking to them from an underneath angle with a black void backdrop with cool lighting on them. Good stuff. Zone Fighter goes to find his abducted kin and is led to a control room that has this awful art on the wall. It's a trap. Another capture, but this time Grandpa comes to the rescue. Zone Fighter goes to another planet to get Smokey back, but has to fight this episode's monster, Balgaris. I like when he's a ball. Bipedal, he just looks like a cheap generic dinosaur or Godzilla ripoff toy. Balgara basically dies in this scene, and I like the way it's handled. Then, regens. More fighting ensues, tracking shots behind foreground, this decently executed takedown, another missile barrage kill. Some fun sparks into Cross and Halo, no explosion, and I do love explosions, but the uniqueness is also good. And since Zone Fighter ripped off Balgaris' horn, Balgaris stays dead this time. With Smokey rescued, Zone Fighter flies home. I really enjoyed this episode. One of, if not, the best so far. Episode 18, Directive, Detonate the Japanese Islands. There's a shot near the start that follows two guys walking, and it's just shaky to all hell. Anyways, PS-73, a new form of energy, is created and the Garoga steal it. Terror Beast Gandargaris emerges. I don't like the way he looks. He eats the PS-73, which according to the show's narrator makes it extremely powerful. Comet K is heading towards Earth, and its intense electromagnetic field is going to cause the PS-73 to detonate. Zone Fighter goes to Gandargaris, who shoots this beam out of the tip of his fangs that makes Zone Fighter fly up and spin around a lot. Rather than fight and risk the explosion of the PS-73, Zone Fighter instead plays rock, paper, scissors with the monster. Zone Fighter wins, but Gandargaris does not agree to fly off into space, so they fence with trees. This is silly and I like it. Flamethrower breath, some explosions are had. You know that scene in Kung Pao where there's just constant zoom ins? Zone Fighter does that here, but most likely not to be funny. It's a bit much. We're left on a cliffhanger. Episode 19, Order. Crush the Earth with Comet K. There is a smoke cave, and an exhausting car chase that recycles the same shots over and over and over again. What's important is that Comet K is getting closer and closer to Earth, and PS-73 filled Gandargaris is still on the loose. I do actually like the shots of Comet K, both just in space and the ones with Earth also in the shot. Fights eventually ensue, both human and giant sized, and again, games are played. They play ring toss. The Garogas, expecting an explosion when Comet K comes within range, fly their headquarters away. Zone Fighter sees an opening while playing Gandargaris, hits him in a spot that causes the Terror Beast's eyes to pop out, and Zone Fighter rips them out. Was not expecting that. Nice little set piece in this otherwise boring episode. Kangagaris is sliced up. I always like the way heads fly off in this show. And Zone Fighter flies its body into space and throws it at Comet K, which explodes on collision with a little help from a zone beam. Earth is saved. Not sure if we needed this to be a two-parter. I wonder if PS-73 of the Garoga base being off Earth is going to matter in future episodes. Episode 20, Desperate Struggle. Can you hear Fighter's song? The young boy is almost kidnapped by a Garoga, but our Zone's toy shop owner friend happens to be near and intervenes, only to just get abducted himself alongside the random kid. More children are abducted. Like any soon-to-be foiled villain, the Garoga who's been capturing people reveals that he is doing so because kids are the best food for a Garoga golem. The golem, Garum, is a two-headed large lab. The kids are stored in one head while its brain the other. He has a gun at each of his hips, a kaiju using guns. Very odd. And in a Western cowboy way, even more so. Zone Fighter rips off the head containing the kids, then rips it open, allowing the children to escape. Garum shoots his guns and breath at once. Still weird, but I'll admit, pretty cool. Missile barrage finishes him up. I wonder if this got additional funding to act as an actual PSA for kids not to go with strangers even if they offer to show them cool toys. Episode 21, Invincible, Godzilla's Rampage. Episode starts off with Zone Fighter and Godzilla doing some friendly sparring. Some nice Godzilla movie-esque low angle and face shots that we don't see a lot of when other Zone Fighter kaiju are in scenes. A new white Garoga has shown up and brought Gold Garoga a present to aid in the fight against Earth, which is apparently taking unusually long. It's Space Slime! Well, Space Slime looking life form said to be immune to zone beams. It's sent to Earth. At the point of landing, a fight between Zone Fighter and Zone Sister against Garoga is happening. This time, they end up just shooting the Garoga. I like when the Zone Sister shoots off an antenna. The Zones take the life form back to their house. The Garogas, in retaliation, or because we've seen that they just love abducting people, kidnap the Zone Child. They also run over and shoot a bunch of people. I think we could have used more Garoga successfully doing bad things in the series, as they do feel mostly incompetent and annoying rather than a threat most of the time. The Zones and the Garoga fight over the boy and the slime. The slime creature's capsule breaks, and the exposure to Earth's air causes it to grow to monstrous proportions. Zone Fighter grows to fight him. He gets overpowered, Godzilla is fetched to help. Godzilla emerges out of this cave with like automatic cave doors. I don't know what this is, but I like it. Godzilla runs all the way over to Zone Fighter and helps. A part of the bad monster is ripped off and thrown, and that piece turns into another monster. We got a tag team match. They dogpile on one of the slime monsters. The monster's name is Jellar, I guess, so Jelly Monster would be better than Slime Monster in terminology. There's this nice throw to Atomic Breath, Purple Atomic Breath. Combination of Missile Barrage and Atomic Breath finishes off the baddies that dissolve. Good stuff. So, episode 18 is a high point of this group of episodes, and mainly for the human stuff. But as always, the Godzilla stuff is good. Not just for the Godzilla character, but those episodes always seem to be shot better. Typical mixed bag for these Zone Fighter episodes, but there's only 5 left. I wonder if this series ends on a high note. I guess we'll find out. Thanks for watching.